Episode 3651, Love Did It Again.
Moms, it's time to rediscover, rejuvenate, and renew who you are in mind, body, and spirit. Welcome to Create Your Now, Your Best Selfie, the show to help you do just that. Here's your host, certified life coach, personal trainer, and nutritionist, Christiane Wargo.
Happy day. Can you believe it? We made it to the weekend. Oh, yes. And it's Relationship Builders, which means you get to focus on who you love the most, which shouldn't be yourself. It needs to be your spouse. Right underneath God, in my opinion. But you know what? Love did it again. For those of you who are brand new to Create Your Now, welcome to this incredible family. I'm so delighted of your presence. If you already haven't had the opportunity, you want to head on over to createyournow.com, where you can learn more and sign up for the Kisses newsletter, the Keep It Simple strategy, everyday solutions to live, love, and impact. Well, this episode is brought to you by AIM, inspiring connection and community. Deep breath, because how's your week been really? I mean, now you're at the weekend and you're like, I made it. But if you work the weekend, you're like, I'm just getting started. I know, I get it. It seems like you never catch a break. Well, today I want you to catch a wind of reprieve that says, you know what? I'm going to sit down and for just a few minutes, I'm going to listen and think about my marriage. I want to think about my partner, the one that I said yes to, however many years ago that was. Maybe you haven't even gotten married yet, but you want to think about your partner right now. You know, over time, when marriage includes that consistency of loving unconditionally and extending grace and learning to do life together, it opens both hearts to grow closer together as time passes. What you want now, though, takes time. Love did it again. And it does it over and over and over because you commit every day. But a lot of times we're like, no, I want what we had when we were dating. It was just like vibrant, Christiane. It was so on point. We were just the synergy was amazing. And we would finish each other's sentences. And now we only yell at each other the same. Well, if you haven't noticed, the honeymoon phase fades away after being married for a few years and beyond. It does, leaving little room for the bubbling over romance. And that's when we're like, seriously, you want to throw in the towel. Real life creeps in and life takes over your schedule and sometimes even your heart. But if we all were to buy into this thought, listen to this, and I was thinking about it, no one would stay married. Everyone would find a way or reason to divorce. There would be no couples. Yet, just like fine wine, marriage gets better with time. And I want that to sink into your heart today. I want you to think about, what if my marriage could be better than where we are now? I don't know what that definition is for you as to getting better. Only you can look at that because you know your relationship with your spouse. You know where you are. If you're hanging on barely by a thread, then you may be looking at some drastic changes that need to happen in order for the marriage to survive. So then you can begin a longer healing process. Maybe you're in it and you're like, gosh, we're kind of there, but we just have gotten trapped in the kid's life. And now they're getting older and we're still trapped in their kid's life, but they get to do it by themselves and we just show up when they tell us to. Maybe you're an empty nester. Maybe you're playing more of the role of, gosh, we're no longer newlyweds, but we've been married 7 to 12 years and it just, I don't know, there's no dazzle to the fizzle. There's more dazzle to the fuzzle as to put up your, dukes and let's fight it out because there's a little bit more spark. And then when you make up afterwards, it's like, yeah, finally. When you think about why you argue and fight, if it's to have that energy and that boost and that adrenaline, you're doing it for the wrong reason. Just saying. Free bit of worded advice there. But what if you could have that fine marriage, like that fine wine that you really, really want, different from where you are now? Are you willing to put in the work and the consistency? Well, my guess, if you're still listening to this right now, the answer to that is you most certainly are. You're in it to win it. So what would it take for you to commit, to actually say every day that this is the marriage you want and the way you're going to go? Well, it's all in the decision. That is your kiss to keep it simple strategy. You got to decide. Decide. Most of what we get doesn't come from a dream, but an action. Let me say that again. Most of what we get doesn't come from a dream, but an action. You have to decide and then take aim. And when you take aim, action ignites motivation. That's when you get that energy flowing. That's when you get that adrenaline rush. Not because we disagreed, now we get to go make up. Oh, how fun is that? Yeah, really, it's not fun. But in a lot of marriages, that's the way of life. Well, if we get a little bit heated here, then maybe we get a little bit heated in the bedroom. No, that's not what we call intimacy. That's not fine wine. You don't sit here and want to taste test a fine wine by taking the bottle and hitting it on the counter and breaking it open. You don't have the fine wine anymore. It's gone. It's all over the floor. Now your puppy dog or your kitty cats may enjoy it, or the kiddos. I mean, if they're, slurping it up themselves. But you're not going to get the taste of the fine wine. You got to decide. And that decision doesn't come from, oh, I remember growing up and I wanted that white picket fence and that beautiful house with 2.5 kids. Okay, maybe you rounded it to 3. Or even it was 2 kids or 1 child, whatever it was. Or maybe for you it was, I can't have children and I want to adopt. I want to grow our family through adoption. And I want to be able to have this career that impacts women. And I want my husband to be that father that's there and goes outside and plays with the girls and the boys. He's like the team dad in the neighborhood. And now you look at your life and you're like, well, don't see my husband very much. Neither does the neighborhood. We don't have the adopted kids. We were blessed to have kids. And so now, well, I'm about 30 pounds heavier than what I had planned. We've got 3 dogs that are driving me crazy. And I don't know why we have this little thing that's caged up there. But, we've got the hamster because, the little one has to have something too. What is it for you? You see, if we're only living from a dream perspective, we're going to miss the opportunity because we're not taking action. Now, let me tell you, I'm a visionary. I am a dreamer, but I'm also strategic. And I'm willing to put forth the effort that needs to happen. And can I just tell you this? You may not know this, but I had my tornado in life in our marriage. My husband came to me and said, I've fallen out of love. I'm done with you. I'm like, what? That was my drop the mic moment. Now, we're happily married, 32 years this year, been together now over 35 years. Whoop, whoop. But did that come from me just living from a dream? Or did that come from me taking action? You know the answer. It was the action. It was me stepping forward, and him too, but I could only be responsible for me. And it changed a lot of things. And that's where I think in our marriages, we just think that life is just supposed to happen, right? You get a job and you work up the ladder. It doesn't work that way anymore. You don't see people working at a place of employment for 35 years and then retiring. Now you see people switching every year sometimes. You see a lot more people that are entrepreneurs in different aspects, from nonprofits to for-profits. You see those who have a dream to build a business. They go to do it and then they lose it, only to think, oh my goodness, now we have to build it again. And they build it again. This time they sell it. What does your life look like? And how much are you a part of that? Are you letting life happen at you, or are you a participant in it? You get to choose how you react or how you respond. And that same thing goes for your marriage. You get to show up the way you want to show up in your marriage. And if you're sitting there going, you know what? It is what it is. I'm at this point. I don't care. The kids are driving me crazy. The husband's driving me crazy. The neighbors are driving me crazy. The dogs are driving me crazy. I'm done. I must be crazy. If you think that way, well, then you will be that way. But why not connect the brain and the heart together? That 16 to 18 inch drop there. And say, you know what? What if I was actually to decide? Decide that my marriage is worth it. Decide that I want to grow closer together every single moment. Right? You have to be willing to wake up every morning and make a commitment. So what does that look like in real life? Number one, you've got to practice active listening. And what I mean by that is you're actually listening. You hear the words. You don't finish the sentences. You don't interrupt the passion in the explanation that you asked for. You listen. And you hear their words coming out of their mouth, not the words that you think should be coming out of their mouth. Now, you can have a conversation with your spouse and say, you know what, hon, I see it this way, and you're talking about it this way. It doesn't make sense to me. Okay, that's a conversation that can be had, but you both need to listen to each other. Truly listen. No judgment, no interruption, and don't form a response in your head before they finished the word or there's a period at the end of it. Yeah, there's a pause there for a reason. Because a lot of times, what are we doing? In life, we finish the sentences. Oh, I know. I do it to my husband all the time. You ask him, and he'll say, oh, yes, she does. She does a great job. But it drives me crazy. And it does drive him crazy. Why? Because he doesn't feel heard. And that's not fair to him. So there are times, even to this day, that I have to say, Christiane, I know you know where it's going, but shut your mouth. Put the duct tape on and open up your ears. You got 2 ears for a reason. Listen intently, with intention. And when you do that, oh my goodness, you are respecting your spouse. You are honoring them. And that is what creates this deeper connection and trust in your relationship. Why? Because they've been seen and heard. That's one of the biggest things. I don't care where you are in marriage, any relationship actually, take that one to heart. That will take you a long, long way. Number 2, prioritize quality time together. When was the last time you and your husband did something, just the two of you? You and your wife. Have you let the busyness of the chaos take over? Have you allowed the kids' activities to be your dates? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm not saying that you don't have a few nights or a few weekends where it gets kind of chaotic in that manner. I know. I had 5 kids. Wait, I still have 5 kids. Why did I say I had? Well, because they're different. They're older, so our schedules are all over the place. But you know what? I still have to look at the calendar and say, okay, where am I? What do I have on the calendar? Business, personal, my husband, what is he doing? He travels too. There are a lot of moving parts to our family. And let me tell you, it doesn't get easier the older they get. In fact, it gets more complicated because then you keep adding to it. Your kids get married, there's grandchildren, and it gets complicated. But let me tell you, you have to come together, the two of you, and say, you know what? We're going to block off this time. We're going to carve this out of our schedule. Maybe you need to set boundaries. We're not going to talk about the kids. Now, sometimes you need to have those private getaways to where you can talk about what's going on in the family because you can't talk about it because the kids are around. I get that too. But make sure you have both of them, not just one of them. So carve out that time. If you can, do it weekly. But I know it's hard. But let me challenge you with this. Your weekly could be that at least one night you go to bed together. Now, I say that because I'm talking to myself. My husband goes to bed way earlier than I do. Why? Because he gets up way earlier than I do. Now, he does get up, and I wake up too when he gets up, but I also can turn over and go back to sleep. Sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. And the crazy thing is, the way I work is I could work just laying in bed because my mind, that's just how I process, I do things, and man, I get up and whoo, I'm zooming. So my 2 hours in the morning from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock, let's say, I can get a lot done. And then when I get up, it's like, poof, got this, hammered this out, got this out, next. But it also can be that I fall back asleep and I don't think about anything. because I'm exhausted. You see, my clock works a little bit different than his. And so I do try my best to get in bed at a reasonable time so he feels like I'm prioritizing him. At the same time, he does the same thing for me. Now, he can't do it during the weekday, throws his schedule off, but sometimes on the weekend, he'll stay up a little bit longer. Especially, we've got March Madness happening. We enjoy watching March Madness together. All the different teams. I don't have a favorite one. It's college ball. I love it. I mean, I have a few of them. Deep in the South, I got that. But let me tell you, it's just fun to watch the talents of these kids play great ball. And so we sit there and we talk about it and what they're doing. Oh my goodness. And so he'll stay up another hour or so. That's long for him. Sometimes we have to go to bed and finish it in bed. What is it for you? What do you need to do to carve out that time, to invest that shared time that says, you know what? This is for us. You need that emotional intimacy as much as you need that physical intimacy. But we forget about it. You got to feed both. It's that quality time together. And then finally, number 3, celebrate each other and your growth as a couple, individually and as a couple. You're always learning and growing, and so is your spouse. So it's important to support each other in the growth and the achievements. My husband's doing something great right now. I am so excited for him. Brand new, out of the box, been chosen by, it's just like, yeah, it's incredible. And I'm so thrilled for him. I can't say much about it right now. But let me tell you, he was created for this. He's a natural born teacher. And I'm like, yes, you go, babe. You go. When was the last time you celebrated your spouse to the point where it's all about them and nothing about you? Sometimes we think that the world revolves around us. We look in the mirror and it's like, well, what about me? What's in it for me? That WIIFM station that we like to listen to? Well, if you're going to do it together, you've got to be with the other person too and celebrate them. So celebrate your spouse. And when you learn to cheer each other on and you become their greatest cheerleader, oh my goodness, that love multiplies and it deepens and it strengthens the bond. And so when a tornado or a hurricane comes in, guess what? It's not going to tear you apart. Now, I'm going to say this to all my women out there, and I mean this with great love. You need to put on your big girl panties. You just do. Every day, show up filled up for your spouse. Yes, life is going to be crazy. Yes, life is going to be chaotic. But if you do it together, it's much better than doing it alone and being hateful to each other. It truly is. So every single morning, dish up a cup of love and bask in life together forever. Go in peace, be present, be incredible, be you. I love you so very much. I cannot wait to see you on the other side. Blessings, hugs, and lots of love. We'll talk to you real soon. Have a glorious, blessed day. Bye-bye.
Feeling inspired, ready to train for life and love your journey? Visit createyournow.com for more incredible resources to help you along the way. We'll see you next time on Create Your Now, Your Best Selfie. And remember, always be sure you consult your physician before beginning any health and fitness plan.